Well, welcome back. We're on chapter 9 of the Diet Trap Solution, and it's Susan and Janet tonight. And this is about universal traps, how we all get trapped. We were just saying that this kind of is like all of our, we could have written these chapters. This one's about psychological traps. And it says most psychological traps involve feeling deprived, discouraged, unmotivated, or burdened by the demands of what it takes to constantly eat in a healthy way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong thing. And the first trap in this section is called the Discouragement Trap. And it says that you want to give up when dieting becomes difficult. And so she also said it was good that it gets harder for everyone from time to time. So it's good to know that we're not alone. And we do always try that. What stood out to you in that chapter? Anything in particular, Janet?
I think for me, it's reminding me that I tend to do all or nothing, both positive and negative. And when this guy was saying it was so hard, I had such a hard week, but when they broke it down into what hours were really hard, then it's reality. It sounds like me. It's just overwhelming, but one little area can just make you focus on it, I guess, for the rest of the week. And so his story rang out.
So true. Yeah, I thought that was interesting how she brought that out too, because it doesn't tend to be like, oh, everything was just crazy. Well, what was really crazy? Well, it was just this one little hour, and then you kind of pinpoint it down. I thought that questioning was really good too. And
so it's a good exercise then the next time I feel that way. By the way, I want to buy this book so I can scratch it up. I need to draw in it and point arrows and dog ear the pages, and
mine's a mess.
Well, this is your book, so that's what I'm saying. I want to buy it from you so I can.
Trap solution? Yeah. Oh, just take it. It's fine. Go for it. I don't care. I even forgot that I'd given it to you. You go for it. Put it to good use. That's all totally fine. No, that's great. I'd gotten a couple, I think, off of some used book sites. So, hey, I like them when they got a deal here and there.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I like what she said about, that the advantages list from the very beginning, and just, I need to get better at myself at taking that list out, of reminding myself, what are these benefits, and getting that so ingrained in my mind that, hey, when those other things pop up that are so easy to grab and take me off of my plan, that no, I know what I want. And it's like, it's so ingrained. But I thought she said read it aloud and rating each item was kind of interesting too. And
the value of each one, yes.
Yeah. And what's she saying now? When the sabotaging thoughts that came up, I still don't know if I can keep it up for the long term. That's what always happened to me in the past. How often I hear that a lot. Well, I always, and it's like, but we need to break those patterns. And it's like, and I thought too on 1980, he's like, hey, you can still have your favorite foods. You don't have to totally eliminate. It's not like you said, all or nothing thing all the time, depending on what your plan is and what you're doing. And the long-term goal, you may be on a plan that's a little more restrictive while you're losing the weight, but the long-term goal is to be able to eat things in moderate portions and to have self-control so that nothing's really off thing. And it's always a choice. Even in our program, it's always a choice. And just kind of to learn how to keep on going there. I thought that was good. Anything else for you in that section?
I don't think so. That was the biggest one, to not over dramatize the bad weeks, the bad days.
I think that's good. Then she reminded us to give ourselves credit for the good choices we make too, because so often we don't. We just focus on, oh, I blew this, and it's all the negative stuff, and instead like, oh my gosh, I just chose the good stuff, and you feel good afterwards. So it's like remembering to do that. So number 2 in this section is the Deprivation Trap. You feel resentful for having to restrict what you eat. And she just felt that when she was on a diet, she couldn't eat the food she enjoyed. And she could only eat salads while everyone else ate whatever they wanted. Isn't that how we feel?
I am so guilty there, and it's my own fault. Recently, Susan, since it's just you and me, I tried to do the keto diet, which is no carbs. It's I gave up bread, potatoes, sugar, fruit even, no fruit. And I did this for 5 weeks. Well, the first week I lost the 5 pounds of water weight. And I was so true, and even counting everything and making sure I lost nothing more. And this was, I jumped off that wagon 3 weeks ago, but I was so discouraged.
Yeah.
So discouraged.
I had to go through all that and not.
It's a bad diet, but I wanted to see some quick results. You know, knock off 20 pounds would have made me so happy, but certainly didn't work. And I've done that so many times in my life. The quick fix.
Yeah, that's what most of us have tried. I mean, we've been on and off that little hamster wheel, and it's like, it's got to be that long term. That's why I think I love the stuff in this book, is it's just helping us. It gives us those principles. If we can just get stuff in mind and just get our brain to change. There's so much in there. And I think she felt deprived lately because she was actually depriving herself. Well, no wonder you're deprived.
Well, that's what I was going through. I was doing it to myself. I avoided going places because I didn't want to fall into those traps. I didn't go out to eat with friends. No, going to stay home and eat my vegetables.
Like, woohoo! Yeah, party and
deprivation. Yeah,
it does. I thought it was interesting. Bottle 184, she says, well, it might be helpful to keep this in mind. Either way, you're going to be deprived. You'll either be deprived of some food, some quantities, some of the time, but not all of the food all the time. Or you'll be deprived of everything on your advantages list, including keeping your job. When, in this lady's case, if she put weight on, she'd lose her job.
That was huge. That description there was huge. Yeah, you're going to be deprived. Which one you want to be deprived of, dessert or health? I've never had it in this perspective, you know.
Yeah, if we can just keep that at the forefront when we're grabbing those things. Like I said, it always comes down to that choice, but learning how to figure that out. So yeah, I thought that was really, and I thought throughout the book here, she's done that in the different areas of always remembering we're choosing one way. We think we're choosing one way, but really it's a bigger choice, and you're impacting something else too. And it's kind of like, we're seeing 186, she's got, have you always had the mindset of dieting, that dieting means giving up the food you love? That's probably part of the reason you've gained weight back. This time, focus on what's reasonable for you to do long term. And I mean, that's what diet means, is deprivation, and you can't. Where our long term goals, what we can do and what we want to do and what want to be.
I don't think I've ever accepted anything as a lifestyle change, as a permanent lifestyle change. And that's why I am where I am today. I've never really, you get it for a few weeks, few months, but I've never said, this is the way I need to manage my life, my mouth, for the rest of my life. Or else, here are the things I will never have. And that's why at this age, I'm here.
Yeah, me too. I understand. It's so true. And we always heard it's a lifestyle change. I mean, I've always heard it needs to be a lifestyle change, but they've never totally given me the tools, or I've never figured it out until now that, hey, this could be a lifestyle change. It's still a struggle. But by now, usually I'd have had all my weight on and more, which, so I've got, I put a little on, but not everything. And it's like, it's not going any further. I can't do it anymore. It's like, I'm not buying bigger pants, so I better start doing something quick. It's like, oh man.
So even after the 138 pounds, you find you really need to police yourself. That it's nothing magical about losing it and staying off.
No, and that's, I mean, I always knew when I was losing it that actually the weight loss is the easy part. And it was simple, really. It took, a little time and just discipline to do it. Wasn't hard at all. But I always knew that when I got to the end of it, that was game on. But part of my problem was I didn't have a real clear stop. Everybody was going, oh, you're not going to lose any more weight. You're getting too thin. And I wasn't really where I wanted to be yet. So I kind of slowly added stuff in, and I was fine with where I was. But so I never totally did it quite right. And so I never got to that point where I knew it was game on because I didn't know the game was off. And so that's what's made me, I put some back on because I never quite did it the right way. So
Gotcha.
now I need to get myself totally back in gear, get this weight to where I want to be. Then I know it's going to be the rest of your life doing that dance, but be mindful. I mean, I'm still getting on the scale, so I know my current reality, and that's part of the deal too. I used to never get back on the scale. So once you know, at least you have the choice to take charge or to ignore it and just keep blooming up there. And they're done that many, many, many times. And it is discouraging. It is, but it is something for life, but it's worth it. I felt so much better when I was at my lowest weight. So I'm like, okay, I got to get back there. And then I'd like to go a little bit farther and just find out what it's like. I may not want to be any lower, but I don't know. I've not been there in my adult life. So
I hear you.
But it sounds like, yeah. And I love she said down there that there's a vast difference between eating every bite of food you want and eating nothing you want. Yeah. That's so true. And also too, the top of 187, there's no such thing as good food and bad food. But there are foods that you should eat more of and foods you should eat less of. So I think that's good too. And remembering it's not like, oh, I just ate all this bad stuff. Well, it's not bad. It's just not the best choice or good in quantities for you. And just have to redefine what our concept of normal eating is. I think that's part of what we kind of got the wrong definition. We've spent so many decades of our life learning these other habits. And we're really good at those. It's like,
yes.
Oh,
yes.
I don't like where it's gotten us. So let's see. Number 3 is the no willpower trap, where you believe you can't resist overeating. And said she was gone to a wedding and had a plan to eat one piece of wedding cake, but her plan flew out the window once she saw the dessert tables piled high with goodies. That gets me. When we go to these women's events, oh my gosh. Like even those things at the church there, or we had a women's night and I wasn't going to have anything, but then I had one little thing. And fortunately, I was playing piano during the event. So I was sitting down in the corner with my hands busy most of the time. But then when I wasn't, dang, I was over there and I ate some things. And then afterwards, I felt bad. I'm like, why did I just do that? And I'm just
how come we can't stop ourselves? Once we start it without even thinking, before we know it, well, it looks good. I'll just have this one. And that one little bite, I think it was in the last recording I listened to, one of the gals was saying, 1 turns into 2, turns into 5, turns into 20. And yeah. I wish
it explains the food industry has spent billions of dollars scientifically formulating the food so that it is addictive. And so it's like he said, it's not your fault. But for me, it's like, you're right. You open that little door and it's like, whoopoo, it all just floods through. And it's like, I think I can handle it. And sometimes I have been able to, but it's risky. There's no guarantee.
I wish there was a rule that at every event, there's got to be a fruit tray and a veggie tray. But most of the time there aren't choices. At the last thing we were together to hear the lady talk, can't think of her name, the
Jennifer
Esther story. Yeah. There was no fresh fruit on the table. There was cheesecake, or whatever. Come on, we're women. Let's help each other out. Let's support one another. So whenever I'm going to plan events, I've thought of that. You need to have a way out.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to pack your own little bag when you go places. So anyway. Yeah. That's the willpower trap for me, is give me a choice. Then let me see if I can make a choice here. But
it is. It's really hard because that other stuff looks so daggone good. And she says it may be really hard to resist a craving in the moment, but it's definitely not impossible. We know we could do it.
Oh, we've done it. You've done it. I've done it.
Yep. So we know it's possible, but it's hard. And I like the thing on 188 where she says, have you ever regretted sticking to your plan? Is there ever a time when you said no, that you regretted it? Probably not. At the moment, you may think you wanted it, but you're probably not afterwards going, oh man, I really should have eaten that whole whatever. If we eat it, then we do have regret. It's not always easy, but it always feels fantastic and worth it. And getting our brain to think that's why I think this book, I need to keep on. I know I'm going to be writing out a lot of cards and spending a lot more time with this book, even when we're done with it, because I haven't done all that part.
It's a good book. I need to go back and reread it again. I went through a lot so quickly, but you're right. It's a great book. Where has it been forever? And you're a great leader in this conversation.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you're here so we can have a conversation. I was afraid I was going to be talking to myself. I've done that before on some. That's more fun. And, I think, and the whole thing of being prepared. So, hey, if it does come down when you're going to these events, it's like I usually have bars in my purse, or, I will pack stuff. And when I go ahead and I am planned, then at least I've been able to take charge of it. And regardless of what they're doing, and they may have stuff I could have, but
That's true.
It's like, hey, it's worth it for the big thing. Then the 189th and fourth one said the feeling overburdened trap. You get tired of focusing and putting effort into weight loss. I think we've all been there too.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a long thing, and I keep thinking maybe it'll eventually totally become natural, but I don't know. But then again, she says, either way, you're burdened. Once again, it's that you feel burdened about having to focus on it, but if you're not focused on it, our current weights are focused and are burdened. So one way or the other, we've got some kind of level of challenge. That's like on page 190.
Yes.
And, is there anything else in that overburdened thing that kind of stood out to you?
I think when I was reading it, but then I shamed myself because it's really, unless you drive through fast food, it's not that much more work preparing a healthy meal as an unhealthy meal. It's not any more work. It's the laziness of getting the pots and pans out and doing the dishes. Because I live alone now myself, and I'm retired, and there's just no excuse. I have none of this overburdened stuff, except I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
I wish I could drive through and get something already prepared and I don't have to think about it. So it's all lazy in my head stuff,
I found healthy recipes that make a lot. Like I've got this unstuffed cabbage roll recipe. It makes a bunch. I like it. It's simple to make, but then I make it and I freeze about 4 or 5 meals.
Yes.
And so when I'm going to be lazy, I've got my little fast food that's my complete healthy meal. Stick it in the microwave and ding, I'm ready to go. Or I've got a few things like that. That's what got me through, is having some of that stuff, because sometimes you just don't feel like it, and it's like, oh. The fifth one, the I don't care trap. Momentary feelings of apathy sap your motivation. And I think we've probably all been there too. It's like we don't forget. It's kind of like always on our mind, but there's just some moments. But sometimes we just like, we just don't want to put the effort into caring. And unfortunately, after the fact is when we start to care about it, and we kind of regret it.
Good point.
It's like, I thought there was the instant gratification genie. I thought that was interesting, where they said, let's say when you stood in front of the vending machine, the instant gratification genie appeared to you and said that you could instantly lose weight or eat the chips. Which would you choose? I thought, wow, if we could have that vision, okay, you could eat the cheesecake or you could lose 2 pounds, or whatever
That'd be easy. Yeah.
It's like, so we gotta have that little imaginary little genie on our little shoulder, like get the good guy, the devil, and the angel kind of. My sister said, she was one of my clients too, and she'd say, I go to reach for something and I hear your voice going, it's your choice. Is that going to be good for you? Is that really going to get you where you're going? No. And so that her card was, there's never a time when I wouldn't choose to lose weight over anything I was about to eat.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably really true there too. And at the bottom she says, it's normal to feel discouraged, burdened, deprived, unmotivated, or apathetic from time to time. To avoid being blindsided by these temporary negative states of mind, prepare yourself by creating your own escape plans. I think that is like the key thing, is just being able to think ahead and, knowing if you are going out to dinner with friends, you can go and look at the menu online and you can come up with some healthy choices. and then just stick to it. One of our little readings said to, when you go out, you're the first one to order, so it doesn't get you swayed. And if you look online and you already have it in mind what you're getting, then you can place your order and you tell them what you want. And then it's like you aren't hearing all these other things. And I thought, well, I'd never thought about that before. That's kind of interesting. And
you can order and then excuse yourself from the table while everybody else is ordering.
Or half the time, if you're with a group, you tend to be talking to people around you anyway. So half the time, I don't even listen when other people are ordering. I'm like, so what'd you order?
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
Like, have a bite of that? No. But so, I mean, she just had some little summary things there on 196 that, like you talked about, hey, you feel discouraged, think about all the easier hours of the week. Just focus on doing what you need to do today. And if you feel deprived, think about which deprivation you'd rather live with, being deprived of some food or being deprived of all the benefits of weight loss. If you feel burdened, do you want to feel the burden of controlling your eating, but just think of the payoff, or the many burdens of being overweight? And if you feel apathetic, remind yourself that you'll very soon care greatly if you give in and overeat. So, I mean, that one's just got tons of stuff in there. Like you said, it's like zing, 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 gets us every which way. Anything else from there that we didn't mention that stands out to you, Janet?
I think we hit it all. There was just so much. So much that just echoed my life. Yeah, I've been there on all of them. I like the comment the lady made in one of the previous videos, was that that's how she felt. She just didn't know how to describe it or name it. And now reading this book, you say, that's how I feel. Now I know why I feel that way. And now I can have some tips on what to do when I feel that way. So,
yeah. I know I've heard a couple clients that are struggling with different things, and I'm like, we covered that in the book. I couldn't come up with the top of my head exactly how to help her. But I'm like, okay, I got to look these things up and give her some better insights. And because there is so much, because everybody struggles, and we all struggle with all these things at different times. Luckily, we don't usually go all at once, and that's a good thing.
It's too bad you don't have this electronic, so you could just do a search.
I know.
Search and find.
I found it online, and we might be able to, but it was like not a really friendly version of it. So, I don't know. It might be available as Kindle, but I've never quite learned how to use those exactly right. But I think it's good. So, hey, for next week, we'll wrap up the book. So we'll be, chapter 10 is the Getting Off Track Traps. Yep, been there. I'm kind of struggling with that now. Maybe this will help me. And then the conclusion is stay free of traps for life. And that's the ultimate goal.
Oh, yeah. I would want the day to come when I don't even look at it as a trap. I eat the way normal-minded people eat, if there is such a thing. That you don't have to think about it. You just know it's not good for you. Dessert, there's no reason to have a big piece of whatever, because there's no health benefit. I want to be nutrition minded, and I don't know if I'll live for that day or not. But
well, and like Dr. Anderson always tells us, it's not about being 100%. It's not about perfection, but progress. And we're learning to make those little incremental steps. And it's just doing one day better. And it's okay to have some of those things once in a while. It's just not as much as we would like to, or that we may have had in the past. So you don't want to make your whole diet of that. I mean, I can just tell from the people that have been in our program the health benefits and getting off of medications, and, even like for stuff from their type 2 diabetes and blood pressure, all those kind of things. And I'm just like, that's where the real excitement comes for me. It's not just about the size and losing weight, which losing weight's great, but when you know the health, and I think if we can always put that perspective of what we're putting in our mouth, that is impacting all of our long-term. And the older we get, I think the more precious that is. And we realize, man, our health can be fleeting, and don't want to have to deal with the problems we've seen maybe our parents or other people go through. If we can avoid them at all, not that we can control all that stuff, but It's good. Well, awesome. Well,